Okay, let's fool around with masks a little bit more in a few different examples that are kind of similar, a way that you use masks in photo retouching. All right, so I've included a zip file, and which you'll need to unzip before you can open the stuff. And one of the files, the first one we'll look at, is this one called brideandgroom.tiff. Okay, excuse me. TIFF files are a little bit unusual in that they're, I think, the one format that supports layers. Okay, so you can have, other than Photoshop documents, .psd. .tif also can have layers. Okay, so, and this one does. So if you look at this picture, it's this wedding shot, and in the bottom one, he's looking friendly and smiling, and she's looking kind of down, contemplating her future married to an axe murderer or whatever. But in this one, she looks good. So the top one, she's good. The bottom one, he's good. Right? So how are we want to combine the two faces somehow. And we can just do that by masking one of the two layers, right? So, but before we do that, there's a cool automatic feature in Photoshop that will let us auto align, because you'll notice that the camera moved between the two. Okay, and we can fix that. So first you activate both layers. So click on one, shift click on the other one. Okay, so they're both happening. And then if I go up to edit, you will see auto align layers. All right, and there's a few different ways of controlling this, but for this particular purpose, where just the camera moves a little bit, the default setting of auto will work fine. And it does this. Okay, so if you turn, you can see now that all that's moving is the two humans and the flames on the candles. Okay, you'll have to crop in on it. Let's do that actually. So I'm just going to go to the crop tool. Okay, and just drag in a little bit on all sides. Okay, and then just hit the check there to finalize that. Okay, so if we're going to keep her on the top, right, that means we want to mask out, put a mask on her face, or a mask that will hide her whole layer except for her face, right? And the one thing here is that you can see that she does move a fair amount. Let's just try it with her. So I'm going to put a mask on there. And I'm going to say Control I to invert the mask so it's black, so it's hidden. I didn't quite crop this thing the whole way, but it doesn't really matter. So now we'll paint a hole in the mask, okay, with white. So you get your white paintbrush. You want to make sure that that hardness is all the way down, so it kind of blends into what's there. And oops, I had my opacity turned down. Okay, so let's see how that looks. You know, and you can take it and you can blend it, make it blend so you see your whole face. Maybe that's a little more natural looking. Okay, so worked perfectly, I would say. All right, let's try another one. Also included in there, I have the Smith 01 and Smith 02. Let's open those two up. And let's just take Smith 02, tear it off, get the move tool and drag it on there. When you drag it on, hold shift down there, it will snap to fit. All right, so now I have the two layers on there. And let's see. Oh, So let's do the auto align and see if we can get this, because there's quite a lot of camera movement in this one. Damn. All right, so I've activated both layers. Edit, auto align layers. I'm going to use the default again. Okay. All right, so what we have going on here is the bottom one, everybody looks best on, except for the mom holding, this mom holding the baby has her eyes looking weird. So we want to use just her on the top. Now you could put the other one on the top and just put a mask over her face on that one, or we could do it the way we just did, which was put a mask on the top layer and invert the mask. Let's try it the other way. So we'll put layer 0 on top. Oh, we got to do a lot of crop. Let's not worry about the cropping because we're not going to hand it in anyway. Okay, yeah. So I have the one where she looks bad on the top. So I'm going to throw a mask on there, and then I'm going to paint. I'm going to hit X, so I'm painting with black, and I'm just going to do her face. Let's see how that works. Okay, so it's about right. Okay, you could always tweak this more. We're just getting the general idea. All right, and let's do one more. Open and action 1, 2, 3. And let's do the same thing. I'm going to, let's see, what do we got here? I'm going to drag action 2 onto action 3. And holding shift down. And then I'm going to drag action 1 on top of that. So I have this one will be a little tricky to figure out. So I have the right-hand woman on the top, and then the left-hand version, and then her seated on the bottom. All right, so let's activate all 3 of those and edit auto align layers. We'll do this again. And that worked good. There wasn't too much movement of the camera in that. I'm going to crop this in a hair. Anyway. All right. So let's see. How are we going to do this? All right. So let's just try the top person here. So I'll throw a mask on there and we'll just see what we're going to do. And if I paint with black on here, it's going to get rid of her. Not what we want. We want 3 people. So if I do Control I, now the mask is completely covering her layer, and I can paint her back in by painting with white. Okay, that's probably not the smartest way to do it because I can't see where she is. Probably makes more sense. Well, let's try it anyway. You can always, it's a mask, so we can always undo it. Okay. Probably would have made more sense to paint her out and then invert the mask. All right, so that's the top layer. The exposure is slightly different on these images, but I don't think it matters that much. All right, let's try this one here. So this is her, and let's make a mask. And this one, let's try painting her out just to see how that works. So I'm hitting X to go to black, and I'm painting her out. And then Control I to invert the mask. And then we just have to fix the mask where we screwed up this person in the front. So black. And here I probably need to zoom in and do a little bit of yeah, here you can't just go like that because you have to actually go tight along the edge. So we need to make maybe a pretty small. Oh, wait a minute. She should be on top. So like that. Actually, that's going to be a little easier to do. And then X and paint this back. That ain't bad, right? All right, so let's save this one as a JPEG and hand it in. File, save as, JPEG, and whatever. I'm not going to write over this, but you know, just give it some other name, and let's hand that one in. Okay, so that's just a little look at some ways you can use masks in a practical sense.